Welcome to the Psych Ignition. There is a profound truth in the silence of a man. The quieter he becomes, the more the world feels compelled to invent his story. It is a strange alchemy of human nature, how society reacts to the man who offers no explanations, the one who moves through the cacophony of life as if he's allergic to its noise. The man who listens more than he speaks, and in doing so, becomes its greatest, most captivating mystery. The world fails to understand him, so it reaches for the closest labels at hand: cold, arrogant, emotionless, intense. And here lies the ultimate irony. The very people who cannot bear to be misunderstood cannot stand the fact that they do not understand him. Social psychology reveals a fundamental truth. The human mind instinctively distrusts what it cannot predict. And the Sigma male, he is a walking paradox, profoundly independent, yet intricately connected to the world around him, detached, yet possessing a deep, almost unsettling awareness. So, naturally, the world treats him as an unsolved equation, fascinating from a distance, frustratingly opaque up close. And the most compelling part? The Sigma isn't even trying to be enigmatic. He has simply run out of patience for noise that is cleverly disguised as depth. Today, we pull back the curtain on how the outside world truly perceives and judges the Sigma, not the internet fantasy, not the social mythology, but the raw, unvarnished truth about why these men are both revered and radically misread, often in the very same breath. Let's get started. Number 1. They're misread as unapproachable because they radiate certainty. A Sigma male does not walk into a room trying to look confident. He simply is confidence, embodied. There is no performance for him, no exaggerated posture, no loud energy demanding to be seen and validated. His calm certainty is his signature, a quiet force that sets him apart in a sea of insecurity. But that very stillness, that profound calm, often creates an invisible barrier, causing others to keep their distance. They misread his quiet self-assurance as arrogance, when in truth, it is nothing more than pure, unadulterated clarity, the kind of clarity that feels no need to prove or explain its own existence. Consider this: most people navigate life with a constant, low-frequency hum of self-doubt. They question their worth, their choices, the very core of their identity. So when they encounter a man who does not resonate with that same internal noise, their psyche doesn't know how to process him. His stillness becomes intimidating, not because he is doing anything wrong, but because he represents a state they secretly crave, but have not yet attained. A state of peace with oneself. His entire energy communicates a simple, powerful truth. I know who I am, and I do not need you to validate it. That isn't arrogance. That is emotional equilibrium. But in a world that often mistakes loud insecurity for humility, such profound balance can feel like a threat. He does not chase connection with a desperate energy, and this unnerves a society that believes connection must be earned through constant, visible effort. When he listens, he does so deeply, absorbing not just words, but the spaces between them. When he speaks, his words are measured, carrying weight. When he withdraws, it is an intentional act of self-preservation. There is no desperation in his tone, no anxiety in his silence. This level of composure can feel unapproachable to those who are accustomed to emotional chaos. It is not that he is distant. It is that he refuses to play the social game of pretending to be smaller just to make others feel comfortable. The great irony is that people often find themselves craving his attention the most, even while they claim he is unapproachable. They sense something unshakable within him, a solidity that does not waver under pressure. But because they cannot mirror it, they interpret it as superiority. The truth is, he is not looking down on anyone. He is simply not looking around for approval. What the world calls intimidation is actually self-containment. What they label as pride is simply self-trust. And what they perceive as distance is often just profound discipline. The Sigma's energy doesn't pull people in with easy charm. It challenges them to rise to a higher standard of self-possession. And for many, that is far too heavy a mirror to face. Number 2, they're seen as rebels, even when they're just detached. The Sigma male does not rebel for the sake of attention or to make a statement. He simply and fundamentally refuses to participate in nonsense. Yet this conscious refusal often earns him labels like rebel, contrarian, or loner with a hidden agenda. The world struggles to comprehend a man who opts out. In reality, he is not fighting the system. He is not feeding it his energy. But in a social landscape where everyone is addicted to having a loud, instant opinion, his silence itself feels like a form of opposition. People seem psychologically incapable of accepting that a person might simply not care. He does not follow trends, not out of a desire to prove his individuality, but because his mind does not respond to social bait. The latest fad, the viral drama, the relentless status race, these things do not trigger excitement in him, but a deep, resonant boredom. He values the finite resource of time too much to waste it chasing things that are, at their core, meaningless. This very detachment threatens those who derive their identity and sense of belonging from the collective. To them, his lack of participation feels like a silent judgment, as if his indifference is a quiet way of stating, "I am above you." But the profound truth is, he is not above anyone. He is simply beyond the need for their validation. Society, in its current form, thrives on collective noise. It requires participation, agreement, and shared outrage to keep its machinery running. So when a man like the Sigma consciously steps back, his absence creates a vacuum of discomfort. His neutrality is perceived as rebellion because people mistakenly equate disengagement with disapproval. They assume that if he is not joining in, he must be silently protesting. But he is not protesting. He is protecting his peace. He doesn't need to prove his individuality by opposing everything. His detachment is natural, not performative. He has learned, through observation and introspection, that staying neutral in a chaotic world is not cowardice. It is a form of wisdom. It is the practiced ability to watch without absorbing, to observe without the compulsion to react. But since most people equate loudness with strength, his calm independence is misinterpreted as quiet defiance. The ultimate irony is that the Sigma does not see himself as a rebel at all. He isn't trying to challenge anyone's system, he just doesn't need that system to define him. Yet, that quiet, unwavering separation from the herd makes him appear dangerous to those who cannot conceive of surviving without belonging. In the end, his rebellion isn't a fight. It is freedom, masterfully disguised as disinterest. Number 3, they're mistaken for emotionless when they're just emotionally disciplined. Do not mistake the calm surface of the ocean for a lack of depth. A Sigma male's emotional world is a vast, deep-running current. He simply does not feel the need to display it as a public performance. He has learned a fundamental truth, that feelings can lose their sacred authenticity when they are constantly performed for an audience. In a culture that has come to equate loud, visible emotion with genuineness, his calm composure is often misread as detachment. People have been conditioned to expect drama as proof of depth, but the Sigma knows, in his core, that real strength often resides in the fortress of restraint. He does not explode when angered. He transmutes it into focused action. He does not beg when hurt. He observes the lesson in the pain. He does not overshare when vulnerable. He understands that not all wounds need a public audience to heal. This is not numbness. This is the pinnacle of emotional control, chosen over emotional chaos. Modern society has, in many ways, turned vulnerability into a performance art. Everyone is broadcasting their pain, exaggerating their joy, and curating their heartbreaks into content. But the Sigma refuses to play this game. To him, His emotions are sacred ground, not public property. He processes them quietly, internally, away from eyes that would rather watch than truly understand. And because of this profound privacy, people make the easiest, most incorrect assumption that he is robotic or emotionally unavailable. The reality is, he understands how easily manipulation can hide behind performative openness. He is emotionally disciplined, not because he fears genuine connection, but because he respects it too much to devalue it. He does not hand the keys to his inner world to people who have not earned the right to hold them. This selectiveness is often misread as coldness, yet it is, in fact, a glaring sign of profound maturity. He understands that not every feeling deserves an immediate reaction, and not every person deserves unrestricted access to his soul. Those rare few who manage to get close to him often experience a revelation: how devastatingly wrong the world's perception is. Beneath that calm, composed surface is a man who feels with incredible intensity. He simply does not let his emotions drive him recklessly. His restraint is not about suppression, it is about conscious, powerful direction. He channels pain into focus, love into unwavering loyalty, and anger into a silence that speaks volumes. To the average observer, this level of self-control feels alien, almost inhuman. People often crave emotional spectacle because it validates their own internal chaos. But the Sigma does not need to explode to prove he is human. He knows that the loudest emotion in the room is usually the weakest one. His calm isn't cold, it is composed. And that composure, so deeply misunderstood by the many, is the very anchor that keeps his profound emotional world from collapsing under the weight of everyone else's noise. Number 4. Their confidence is read as superiority. When a Sigma male enters a room, he carries with him a profound absence, an absence of the need to prove anything. And this void, this quiet self-containment, is what creates unease in the atmosphere. His confidence is not loud or decorated with attention-seeking behavior. It is a quiet, self-sustaining force, rooted in a deep, unshakable self-certainty. But in a world where confidence is so often confused with showmanship, his stillness becomes a canvas upon which others project their own insecurities. People begin to whisper words like arrogant, cold, or too proud, never realizing they are witnessing a reflection of their own dependency, not his ego. The Sigma does not flex his confidence. He owns it. There is a world of difference. He is not there to dominate anyone. He simply refuses to shrink, to make himself smaller, just to make others comfortable. Yet, that self-assured calm poses a silent threat to those who rely on external approval for their sense of worth. When people see a man who does not need their applause, it serves as a quiet, uncomfortable reminder of how dependent they are on it. And instead of facing that difficult truth within themselves, they attack its reflection. They call it ego. They label it superiority. But what they are truly feeling is a sense of exposure. The raw discomfort of standing next to someone who is internally stable, while they feel emotionally rented by the opinions of others. His calm presence is a disturbance to the unspoken social hierarchy, because most social structures thrive on noise, comparison, and shared insecurity. The Sigma's refusal to even acknowledge the competition breaks the most fundamental rule: you must need us. But he doesn't. And that sheer, unapologetic independence is interpreted as the highest form of defiance. What people so quickly label as arrogance is, more often than not, simple self-possession. He does not overtalk, overprove, or overperform. He simply exists, unshaken. And in a world utterly addicted to performance, an existence without visible effort feels like a personal insult to those who are constantly striving. Then comes the next, more insidious layer: suspicion. When others cannot easily read or categorize him, their minds, craving predictability, assume he must be hiding something. Human psychology is terrified of what it cannot predict. The Sigma's authentic unpredictability doesn't fit their pre-written social scripts, so they invent stories to regain a sense of control. He's calculating. He's manipulating. He's up to something. But the truth is far simpler and far more powerful. He is just living by his own rhythm. He doesn't play social games because games require an audience's approval, and he does not live for applause. The mystery people sense swirling around him is not deception. It is the palpable absence of need. And in a society drunk on overexposure and relentless performance, that kind of quiet, unwavering self-control doesn't just confuse people. It fundamentally intimidates them. Number 5. They're misunderstood as emotionally detached partners. In the realm of relationships, the Sigma male's emotional architecture is perhaps most frequently misdiagnosed. People often mistake his profound emotional style for indifference. But what they fail to perceive is that his love does not reside in the grand, loud gestures or constant, performative declarations. It lives in the quiet, almost invisible things that most people overlook in their search for fireworks. He may not flood your phone with anxious messages or make poetic promises under candlelight. Instead, he shows up consistently when it truly counts. He remembers a concern you mentioned in passing weeks ago, and he acts on it. He reads the language of your silence, understanding the unspoken words that hang in the air between you. His presence, calm, grounded, and utterly real, is his love language. The problem is, most people today are addicted to emotional noise. They have been conditioned by a culture of instant gratification to believe that love must sound a certain way. Endless verbal reassurance, constant validation, and affection that is performed for visibility. So when they encounter a Sigma, whose love is a steady, deep current rather than a crashing wave, they misinterpret his depth as a lack of feeling. They begin to overanalyze his silence, his composure, his thoughtful pauses. But that stillness is not absence. It is stability. He is not the man who panics when things get quiet. He is the man who finds the deepest truths in the quiet. A Sigma does not fall for the seductive chaos of emotional performance. He has learned, through keen observation, that most people use emotional intensity to mask deep-seated insecurity. Therefore, he consciously chooses depth over drama, unwavering loyalty over fleeting lust, and genuine understanding over cheap attention. This is what makes him both exceptionally rare and incredibly difficult to interpret for the untrained heart. His care does not come with a spectacular display of fireworks that fizzle out quickly. It comes with a steady, radiating warmth that grows over time, quietly proving its immense worth long after the noise of others has faded into nothingness. Of course, this profound approach often backfires. Partners who crave constant emotional confirmation may feel invisible beside him. They might believe he is distant or detached, simply because he is not mirroring their own heightened emotional tempo. But the Sigma is not withholding affection. He is meticulously filtering out the performative. He does not say, "I love you," simply because the moment feels romantically right. He says it when he knows, with absolute certainty in his soul, that he means it with every fiber of his being. The truth is, he doesn't love less, he loves differently. In a world that foolishly confuses volume for emotion, his calm, assured love feels foreign, even unsettling. But for those who have the patience and depth to understand him, that calm is pure gold. It is the kind of love that does not demand attention. It earns it, slowly and irrevocably. And that is precisely why so many misjudge him. He is not chasing the high of intensity. He is cultivating something far more enduring. A peace so profound, it is indistinguishable from true love. Number 6. Their authenticity makes others feel artificial. A Sigma male does not try to impress anyone, and that is precisely the quality that unsettles so many. His authenticity is not a loud, rehearsed performance. It is raw, effortless, and unapologetically consistent. He does not bend his personality to fit the temperature of a room, and he does not inflate his energy to earn cheap attention. He simply shows up as himself, every single time. And that quiet, unwavering honesty acts as a mirror, a reflection most people are not psychologically prepared to look into. In a world meticulously built on performance and perception, genuine authenticity is disruptive. People invest so much of their lives curating their appearance, dressing for perception, speaking for approval, posting for validation. When a man like the Sigma refuses to play this game, his very existence feels like a silent rebellion. His calm truthfulness exposes, with stark clarity, how much of modern identity is merely a costume worn for social survival. This is why you so often hear the whispered critique. There's just something about him that feels off. It is not that something is wrong with him. It is that his presence reminds them, uncomfortably, of how inauthentic they have become. He does not overcompliment. He does not fake agreement for the sake of harmony, and he does not laugh at a joke just to signal belonging. His honesty cuts through the social padding, the polite fictions everyone relies on, and that can be a deeply unsettling experience for those who live within those fictions. They will say he has a weird vibe, or that he's too serious, but beneath those superficial labels lies a quiet, simmering resentment, a resentment directed at someone who lives without the masks they themselves feel they cannot remove. The Sigma does not crave acceptance, so he never adjusts his truth to earn it. He does not chase popularity because he understands, on a fundamental level, the exorbitant price it demands, your authenticity, and that profound self-trust, that refusal to edit his own soul for public approval makes others painfully aware of their own daily compromises. His presence silently asks a question that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Who are you when no one is watching? People claim they value realness, but the Sigma proves that is only a half-truth. They want authenticity, as long as it does not expose their own lack of it. His energy doesn't repel, it reveals. And that revelation stings, so instead of facing their own discomfort, they project it onto him, labeling him distant, strange, or intimidating. But the truth is far simpler. He is not unrelatable, he is uncorrupted. In a world addicted to the performance of self, the Sigma's quiet genuineness isn't just rare, it is a quiet revolution. Number 7. They're feared because they represent psychological freedom. What unsettles people most about a Sigma male is not his silence, his independence, or even his compelling mystery. It is his freedom. He is psychologically free in ways that others can only theorize about. A state of being that is both awe-inspiring and deeply threatening to the established order. He does not bend to social pressure because he is not wired to seek its validation. He does not need to belong to a tribe to feel worthy. And he steadfastly refuses to trade his authenticity for the hollow currency of approval. In a world where the majority shapeshift and contort themselves just to be accepted, that kind of unassailable inner liberty feels like a quiet, personal rebellion. And that is precisely why society doesn't just misunderstand him, it quietly, instinctively, fears him. A Sigma male is impossible to control through conventional means because he is not playing the game that everyone else is obsessed with winning. He remains indifferent to social ranks, unmoved by public validation, and unimpressed by curated appearances. While others chase recognition as if it were oxygen, he finds the very pursuit suffocating. His sense of self is not built upon the shifting sands of public opinion. It is carved into the bedrock of his own self-knowledge. That single fact alone shatters every unspoken rule of modern belonging, and people resent him for it. They resent seeing a man who can walk away from everything they cling to. Status, trends, manufactured importance, without a flicker of hesitation. The profound irony is, The Sigma isn't trying to be a rebel. He is simply immune to the illusions that others live by. He does not buy into the core mythology that you need to be seen to matter, or that success is only real when it is publicly displayed. That quiet, inherent detachment challenges the very foundation of societal conditioning, and people interpret that challenge as arrogance, aloofness, or even danger. But it is not danger they are sensing. It is envy, cleverly disguised as judgment. The truth is, absolute freedom makes people uncomfortable. Witnessing someone live entirely on their own terms, without permission, exposes the invisible bars of their own cages. The Sigma's independence is like holding up a mirror to everyone else's compromises. The fake smiles, the forced ambitions, the silent fears of not being enough. He reminds people of the version of themselves they buried long ago just to fit in. That is why they gossip, why they criticize, why they call him too different. It is far easier to label him as strange than it is to admit the terrifying truth. He is what they secretly wish they could be. Self-owned, mentally untamed, and utterly free from the desperate need for the crowd to feel alive. He doesn't fight the system. He simply and irrevocably outgrows it. And in a world addicted to control and conformity, nothing is more threatening than a man who cannot be controlled because his very existence exposes the design of everyone else's cages. Number 8. They're viewed as manipulative because they read people too well. The Sigma male possesses a perceptive ability that can unsettle people to their core. He sees straight through them. He notices the subtle tells that most overlook, a slight shift in tone that betrays a lie, the micro-expression that flashes for a fraction of a second, the hesitant pause that speaks louder than any word. He can discern when someone is pretending, lying to themselves, or overcompensating for a hidden insecurity, and he does so without apparent effort. His awareness is instinctive, almost surgical in its precision. But in a world where everyone is busy constructing a persona, where authenticity is often sacrificed at the altar of social acceptance, being seen with such devastating clarity feels like exposure. That is why people so often reach for the label manipulative or calculating. It is not that he is controlling anyone, it is that he understands them too well for their comfort. He does not study people to use them, he observes them to protect his own energy and peace. A Sigma reads human nature the way a seasoned sailor reads the sea, not for sport, but for survival. He has navigated enough deceptive waters to recognize the patterns of insincerity long before the storm hits. Yet this very gift of perception often backfires because people who cannot hide from him assume he must possess hidden motives of his own. Their own psychology cannot grasp the concept that a person can be profoundly perceptive without being predatory. The Sigma's calm, observant silence unnerves those who depend on emotional camouflage. When he doesn't react with the expected surprise or outrage, when he doesn't reward their performance with the desired validation, they grow nervous. His silence becomes suspicious. His insight becomes a hidden strategy. His composure becomes evidence of a game he is playing. But what they are truly feeling is not manipulation. It is the chilling sensation of exposure. They are afraid of how much he comprehends without them having to utter a single confessional word. He rarely confronts or calls people out directly. That is a waste of energy. Instead, he simply adjusts his course accordingly. This quiet recalibration, the subtle but decisive way he distances himself after reading someone's character, is what makes others believe he is playing a complex, four-dimensional chess match. But it is not a game. It is awareness. He knows, with quiet certainty, who is genuine and who is posturing, and he intentionally conserves his energy for the former. People who rely on social performance interpret this discerning distance as a form of punishment, rather than what it truly is, profound discernment. The truth is, the Sigma's insight does not spring from a place of scheming, It is born from solitude. When you spend a significant portion of your life detached from the group's noise, your perception sharpens. You begin to see the patterns others miss precisely because you are not distracted by the desperate need to belong. That level of clarity looks like manipulation to those who are emotionally blind, but it is, in its purest form, simply vision. He is not the one pulling the strings. He is simply too awake to be fooled by them. Number 9. They're accused of lacking ambition because they don't chase the spotlight. People often make a critical error in judging the Sigma male. They mistake his quiet internal drive for a complete lack of ambition. They observe his calm, his refusal to engage in loud public competition, and they assume he is stagnant, adrift. But the reality is, he is building in silence while everyone else is performing productivity. He does not announce his goals to the world or turn his daily grind into a public spectacle because he operates on a fundamental truth. Real achievement does not require witnesses. His ambition is not fueled by the cheap fuel of applause. It is powered by the relentless engine of personal purpose. But in a world utterly addicted to visibility, anything that is not constantly displayed is assumed to be non-existent. He does not crave the spotlight because he understands its paradoxical nature. The very light that illuminates you can also blind you. The moment you begin to chase recognition, you inevitably start to lose your authentic direction. That is why he remains in the shadows, not because he is hiding, but because he is fiercely, unwaveringly focused. Individuals who live for external validation cannot comprehend this internal compass. To them, success is not merely about growth. It is about being seen to be growing. It is a performance. So, when they encounter a man who doesn't brag, boast, or broadcast his every move, they label him as unmotivated, too quiet, or as a soul wasting his potential. What their eyes, trained only on the surface, fail to see is that the Sigma's ambition is a form of internal architecture, a mighty structure being built quietly, layer by layer, far from the distracting noise of the crowd. He is not in a hurry because he is not in a race against anyone else. He knows exactly where he is going, and he possesses the profound patience to get there without taking the shortcuts others use to gain fleeting attention. He is not lazy. He is strategic. He invests his most valuable resource, time, where it truly matters, in the pursuit of mastery, not in the performance of progress. While others are busy posting about their journey, he is already arriving at his destination. He doesn't talk about what he is building because he is too consumed by the sacred act of building it. That majestic silence frustrates people who need constant, visible proof of purpose. But when his results finally manifest, they speak with a kind of undeniable volume that no boast could ever hope to achieve. The truth is, the Sigma does not lack ambition. He has redefined it. His goals are not designed to impress an audience. They are designed to fulfill his own soul. That is why his success often appears sudden, even shocking, to outsiders. They weren't ever supposed to see the process. He understands, at a bone-deep level, that real power moves in silence. And by the time the world finally takes notice, the work is already done. The legacy is already cemented. Number 10. They're seen as arrogant for refusing to explain themselves. The Sigma male operates on a principle that the modern world finds deeply unsettling. He does not owe anyone an explanation. In an era addicted to oversharing, where people feel compelled to narrate their every move, justify every decision, and defend every opinion just to feel validated and understood, the Sigma is an island of silence. He does not play that game. He makes his choices, stands by them with unshakable conviction, and moves forward. No announcement, no debate, no plea for permission or understanding. And in a culture where everyone is constantly explaining themselves to seek approval, that kind of quiet, unapologetic certainty is interpreted as the highest form of arrogance. The truth, however, is far more nuanced. He is not trying to cultivate an aura of mystery. he is practicing profound selectivity. He understands, on an instinctual level, that over-explaining is the primary mechanism through people give away their personal power. The moment you begin justifying your life, your choices, your very being to others, you hand them the gavel and appoint them judge of your motives. The Sigma understands this, which is why he remains silent in the face of demands for explanation. His choices are born from deep internal clarity, not from external confusion, so he feels no innate need to defend them to a committee that wasn't part of the decision. But to those whose sense of worth is tied to the validation of the crowd, his silence feels like disrespect. They mistake his privacy for pride, his composure for conceit. What their dependent minds cannot grasp is that he is not rejecting them personally. He is protecting his energy. Explaining the intricacies of his soul to people who have already made up their minds based on superficial judgments is a pointless drain on his spirit. He does not need to be understood by everyone because he is not living for everyone. His sense of self is not a topic for public debate. It is a settled fact. This sovereignty, the quiet, unassailable kind that does not ask for approval or forgiveness, is what truly unnerves people. They become agitated because they cannot easily read him, categorize him, or predict him. His authentic unpredictability leaves them feeling powerless to define him, and in their frustration, they create a convenient story. He thinks he's better than everyone. The ultimate irony, the one that escapes them completely, is that he isn't even thinking about them. His silence is not a weapon of superiority. It is a tool of intense focus. While they are huddled together, dissecting his motives and analyzing his every pause, he has already moved on to his next meaningful action. In a world where oversharing is mistakenly celebrated as radical honesty, conscious restraint is perceived as rebellion. But for the Sigma, keeping the most sacred parts of himself private is not an act of arrogance. It is an act of alignment. He knows that not every personal truth deserves a public audience, and not every question from an uninvested person deserves an answer. That calm, unwavering refusal to explain himself isn't about pride. It is about the ultimate freedom, the freedom to be exactly who he is, without requiring the world's understanding to make it so. Number 11. They're accused of having hidden motives. Human nature is inherently suspicious of what it cannot easily define, and the Sigma male is the living, breathing embodiment of this principle. His very existence is a question to which society has no ready answer. His unpredictability does not stem from chaos or inconsistency, but from a profound, internal freedom. He does not move to the collective rhythm of the herd, nor does he follow the predictable emotional scripts that people rely on to feel secure. This inherent defiance of categorization unsettles those who need everything and everyone neatly labeled and explained. When they cannot place him into a predefined box, not the nice guy, not the rebel, not the follower, their minds, craving order, begin to invent stories to fill the void of understanding. He must be hiding something. He's manipulating people. He's playing a long, complex game. But the raw, unvarnished truth is far simpler. He is just not participating in their script. The Sigma's behavior is a study in conscious nonconformity. One day he can be deeply engaged and present. The next, he is completely and intentionally withdrawn. He is capable of profound kindness without any need for public credit or reciprocity. He can be distant without harboring anger and silent without nurturing resentment. This advanced level of self-control and emotional sovereignty confuses people who depend on external predictability to feel psychologically safe. They mistake his calm detachment for cold calculation precisely because it feels so foreign to their own experience. They are accustomed to a form of emotional transparency that borders on performance. A constant display of every mood, every motive, every feeling offered up for public reassurance and validation. When the Sigma refuses to engage in this performative vulnerability, They label it secrecy. But the Sigma is not hiding. He is filtering. He operates with a disciplined discernment, consciously deciding who is worthy of access to his thoughts, his time, and his inner emotional world. For him, privacy is not a form of deception. It is a form of protection and profound discipline. He understands that not every person possesses the integrity or depth to handle his truth, so he shares it selectively with those who have earned the right through their own authenticity. Yet, in a world that has become obsessed with overexposure and conflates oversharing with honesty, this kind of disciplined restraint feels inherently suspicious. People confuse healthy, necessary boundaries with manipulation, simply because they have lost the ability to tell the difference between genuine mystery and outright dishonesty. The ultimate irony is that those who are most vocal in accusing him of having hidden motives are often the ones projecting their own. They assume he must be scheming because that is what they would do if they possessed his level of emotional control and internal power. But the Sigma does not need to manipulate. He already possesses what every manipulator secretly craves but can never truly attain: complete and utter power over himself. He is not playing games. He is consciously, deliberately opting out of them. His unpredictability is not a strategy. It is authenticity in motion. He moves when he feels the internal call to action. He stays when a situation or person truly matters. And he walks away without drama when it no longer serves his purpose or peace. The predictable call this suspicious, but what they are really witnessing is something they have forgotten how to be: truly, authentically, and powerfully free. Number 12. They're seen as having hidden darkness. There is something about the Sigma male's calm that unnerves people on a primal level. It is too steady, too measured, too controlled. It is the kind of silence that feels heavy, as if it is holding back a tremendous force. This composure is so absolute that people's imaginations kick into overdrive, seeking to fill the void with their own fears. They look at him, and their minds whisper, "He's too quiet." No one is that composed without a reason. What is he hiding? And so, they begin to invent narratives to explain the unexplainable, weaving tales of hidden pain, secret rage, or a suppressed emotional storm raging just beneath the surface. But what they label as darkness is, in reality, the pinnacle of discipline. The truth is, most people have become deeply uncomfortable around genuine emotional stillness. They are acclimated to visible chaos, to people who wear every feeling on their sleeve, who overshare their trauma for consumption, who use emotional drama as a way to feel alive and validated. So, when they encounter a man who does not bleed in public, who does not perform his struggles for sympathy, they assume he is concealing a monster. They cannot comprehend a simple, powerful truth: that some individuals have learned to master their internal storms instead of broadcasting them. The Sigma does not bottle up his emotions out of fear. He refines them. He processes them in the forge of his own consciousness, transmuting their raw, chaotic energy into focused control. He is not suppressing a hidden darkness. He is owning it. He has done the difficult, introspective work of facing his own shadow side, his flaws, his impulses, his potential for chaos, and he has made peace with its existence. That hard-won self-awareness is why his energy feels so intense to others. He is not pretending to be pure or positive or perfect. He is whole, and wholeness includes the full spectrum of light and shadow. But to people who have not yet dared to face their own shadows, this quiet integration looks threatening. They assume he is dangerous precisely because he is not wearing his chaos where they can see it. They mistake his mastery for menace. The Sigma's compelling mystery is not born from a place of secrecy. It is born from profound self-awareness. He knows with utter certainty that not every part of him needs to be public property. Some truths gain their strength in silence. Some powers are diluted by exposure. So, while others externalize every passing emotion, he refines his into a formidable presence. That deep, unshakable calmness people find so unsettling isn't a mask hiding madness. It is the quiet aftermath of a man who has faced the totality of himself and emerged not broken, but rebuilt. They will keep whispering that something must be wrong with him. They will cling to the belief that no one can be that composed without breaking inside. What they will never realize is the most empowering truth of all. He has already been broken. He has already faced the abyss within, and the calm he radiates now is not the absence of darkness, but the living proof that he has mastered it. The truth is, the Sigma male exists in a world that is perpetually misreading him. A world addicted to noise, desperately trying to decode a profound silence. His calm is pathologized as coldness. His privacy is mistaken for secrecy. His independence is labeled as arrogance. But this is the inevitable cost of walking a path that is entirely your own, a path that requires no validation from the crowd. He is not misunderstood because he is confusing. He is misunderstood because he refuses to explain himself to a world that is still hopelessly addicted to performance. The outside world judges what it cannot define. People sense an immense power within him, but cannot locate its source. They feel the resonance of his confidence, but cannot trace it back to an ego that needs their praise. And so they invent myths to comfort themselves, calling him distant, emotionless, mysterious, dangerous. Yet, behind all those labels stands a man who has made the ultimate choice, the choice not to be consumed by the world's chaos. A man who does not chase attention because he already possesses a deeper state, awareness. A man who does not need to shout his value from the rooftops because he embodies it, quietly, in every action. What people call arrogance is, in its essence, self-respect. What they call detachment is, in reality, a hard-won peace. What they perceive as hidden motives are simply boundaries they do not have the power to manipulate. The Sigma male is not trying to be different. He is different because he has mastered what most people spend their lives avoiding: the art of being alone without being lonely, the power of being calm without being passive, and the strength of being truly powerful without the need for domination. So let them misunderstand. Let them whisper. Let them invent their stories. Because the Sigma does not need to prove anything to a world that is still trying to find itself in the reflection of others. His silence will always speak louder than their noise. His presence will forever be a quiet disturbance to the comfort zones of those who are still performing. And in that undisturbed, unapologetic authenticity, he finds not isolation, but the ultimate freedom. If this video resonates with you, if you see yourself in the calm storms, the misunderstood silences, and the quiet strength that refuses to conform, then this space was made for you. Subscribe to the channel, drop a comment below, and share this with someone who needs to understand the power of being unexplainable. Don't just watch. Become part of the movement that values depth over display and authenticity over applause. Because the world may never fully understand the Sigma, but that's exactly what makes him unforgettable. Thank you for watching.